Hi everyone, it's your fave political science major Ashel here to bring you two political concepts I believe are good to have in your vocabulary and to store in that noggin of yours. Instead of a linear right-left model, we can look at political ideologies as a spectrum, or a political horseshoe, ranging from communism, socialism, liberalism, conservatism, and fascism. As per our friends Andrew Haywood and Matthew Lang, if you look at it from the lens of social science, an ideology is a set of ideas, ones that provide a basis for organized political action. Now, this action could preserve, modify, or overthrow the existing system of power relations. Let's look at it this way. There are plenty of ways to identify someone's political ideology, where they stand on certain issues, and their beliefs and convictions will act as our clues.
My take on abortion here is that I am agreeing that we should have an abortion rights here in the Philippines because really women should have their own rights on.
Liberalism is anchored on freedom, equality, and individualism. It champions consent and tolerance. Another key feature is constitutionalism. So the next time you see these signs or give off the same signals, that person or you might be a liberal. Now, how about a conservative? Conservatism mainly focuses on tradition, pragmatism, and hierarchy, but it also encompasses human imperfection. Neoconservatives believe in returning to traditional values, particularly ones related to the family, the nation, and religion.
This family is the basic unit of a community, right? So once you have done it to yourself, you would influence your family, and with the family, it would be influenced throughout the community. So to be a good Filipino citizen, you have to be a good model yourself to your family members.
Now we've come to socialism. If you've met a socialist or are one yourself, you value community, social equality, and fraternity. You also believe in common ownership and recognize that people have needs. They also stand for an egalitarian society, where there are ideally no classes and have economic equality.
The most important political issue when it comes to inflation, we all know that all of the groceries, all of the items that we could buy and groceries, malls, everything is rising up, inflation is rising up. And as you also heard, the popular or the most recent issue right now about the 500 Noche Buena, 500 pesos Noche Buena. And I think that's so degrading as a Filipino when you heard that, and they were all laughing about it. Because if you're going to be the one to go into palengkes, if you're going to be the one to buy these things, you know that 500 is not enough. Even me, I'm working as a call center agent. Every time I get my paychecks, taxes is being deducted. The taxes that being deducted is so high, and I don't think it's being justified.
You are not only against the exploitation of the working class, but ensure employment rights and the regulation of prices. We can better understand why people have these positions and how their political decisions are shaped when we look at cleavages. To once again quote our friends Andrew Haywood and Matthew Lang, cleavage in politics is a social division, one that creates a collective identity on both sides. And so our age, race, religion, and ethnicity can be considered as social cleavage. Now take a look and identify the political ideology and possible cleavages.
For the question on same-sex marriage and the SOGI bill, I personally am in favor of it, mostly because as a gay man, it comes to my own personal interest to have it legalized in the Philippines for it to, exist, to be allowed to get married here.
And for the question, I pro Ayuda, I don't think that it's the solution to people's problems. It's just a quick fix. I think it would be most appropriate when there are calamities or disasters that would happen in the Philippines. But in the long run, it wouldn't help them that much. What I would suggest is to open up job or opportunities for people to earn on their own, because in that way it would help them sustain their daily needs and expenses for everyday living, and it would be beneficial to them in the long run, not just for them, but for their family.
I do personally believe in the idea of legalization of marijuana, mostly down to the premise of it Bans on drugs have been mostly used to criminalize people who are in poverty or people who are the most vulnerable in society.
Incredible skills mismatch that is prominent in the workforce. Even in the education sector, you can notice it. Some teachers who um, were actually studying English in their for their bachelor's degree teach math, and that is incredibly hard for these teachers, and it does not maximize at all the efficiency in which they are able to work. In terms of salaries, the minimum wage is barely enough to ensure a sustainable quality of life. So. It's hard to find a job in this country, especially like a regular job with benefits. So I do believe that the labor force or the labor laws and the policies, they need to be updated, and they need to be updated with the Filipino people in mind.
When it comes to environmental protection laws in the Philippines, I think that there are not enough laws in place to combat either illegal logging, pollution, and the current threat that climate change has on the Philippines.
And for my thoughts on the death penalty here in the Philippines, I don't recommend it. As many would say and agree, it's anti-poor. It would be unfair to those less fortunate people who can't afford lawyers themselves. So, with the justice system that we have and with the law having loopholes, it's just unfair to them. I wouldn't recommend it to the Philippines.
I think that the Philippines isn't doing enough to combat the use of AI and the lack of regulation that AI companies have.
There is no right or wrong political ideology. Whether you're a liberal, a conservative, a socialist, or hold a different ideology altogether, people simply want to live in a world that they envision is the best for humanity.